a man who could no longer stand on his own legs. By his late 40s, Henry's weight had reached an estimated 400 pounds, placing him among the most corpulent men in recorded history. His once chiseled face had ballooned until his eyes appeared as mere slits buried within swollen flesh. His neck had vanished entirely, leaving the impression of a head fused directly onto his torso. His voice, once commanding and vibrant, had turned into a labored wheeze that struggled to emerge from his constricted throat. The ulcers on his legs, now fist-sized and perpetually open, demanded constant attention from physicians and surgeons. The infections had deepened so badly that some wounds exposed bone. The odor that emanated from his body was so unbearable that courtiers took elaborate precautions to remain upwind or to avoid him entirely. Many sought transfers to distant posts to escape the nauseating atmosphere that surrounded their monarch. Henry's movements were now so restricted that he required mechanical assistance even for the most basic tasks. Ropes, pulleys, and harnesses were installed in his chambers to lift him from bed each morning. Throughout his palaces, ramps replaced stairways and doorways were widened to accommodate his rolling chair. The once mighty king, who had galloped through forests and dominated tournaments, now required teams of attendants to help him relieve himself, dress, and even breathe comfortably. The spectacle of his meals grew ever more disturbing. What had once been social banquets had turned into grotesque performances, attended by courtiers, out of duty or morbid fascination. Henry would devour his food with an almost violent energy, ripping meat apart with his hands, gulping wine as if drowning thirst, his heavy breathing filling the air like an animal's growl. The sounds of chewing, slurping, and panting echoed through the great halls, forming a kind of symphony of gluttony that left guests pale and nauseated. Foreign envoys wrote home in disbelief. The Venetian ambassador claimed the king ate enough for 3 men and drank in proportion. The French envoy described feasts so excessive they bordered on insanity. These reports, preserved in diplomatic archives, form a chilling record of a monarch undone by his own excesses. The royal physicians, bound by oath to safeguard his health, were powerless. They knew the truth that Henry's habits were killing him, but any attempt to interfere met with threats of execution. The king refused even the mildest suggestion of restraint, proclaiming that his appetite was proof of divine vigor. Several doctors resigned their posts or fled the court altogether, unwilling to watch the sovereign consume himself alive. The deterioration of his health strained every corner of royal life, including his marriages. His immense girth made intimacy nearly impossible, and his constant preoccupation with food left no space for affection. Anne of Cleves reportedly fainted when she saw him for the first time, having been promised a handsome prince and instead meeting a swollen ruin of a man. Catherine Howard, the young 5th queen, was said to have cried openly at their wedding feast as she watched her